Welcome back. Today we are talking with Regina Phelps about the CrowdStrike issue that's going on right now. Regina, great first segment. Now you want to talk a little bit more of what was going on.
I do, because wow, there's so much going on. I'm going to show my screen again, and we'll sort of continue on this path for a moment. I don't know if you saw any of the images of what the airports look like, but oh my God. I mean, literally every plane delayed or canceled straight away. The example I love on the top right is the baggage claim in LaGuardia Airport, where every baggage claim section has a blue screen of death. And then you could just see every airport around the world, they were photographing these people that you just knew. If you've ever been flight delayed for any length of time, everybody could just sort of, oh my God. And then the people on the lower right, you just know that they have, yeah, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I had real empathy for all of those people, and probably a lot of them are still there.
Yeah,
And,
that's the
just
sad thing.
it is. It is. I mean, look at the baggage. Look at oh my God. What a nightmare. What an absolute nightmare. And of course, 911 was impacted in many parts of the United States, and I'm assuming other parts of the world, for a protracted period of time. And of course, we're talking about life-saving related issues when you can't get police, when you can't get fire, when you can't actually get an ambulance. And a lot of people don't have in their phones, or probably anywhere, the manual version of how you get 911. And those numbers are available in every community. So I would ask all of you, to find your phone and then literally make sure that you have the emergency real phone number for police, fire, and EMS. I have them in mind because I live in earthquake country, right? And so you figure 911 may not work, but you might actually get another direct line into those services, but most people don't. And so we want to make sure that people understand that there's an option to dial them directly.
I have to admit I don't have all of mine,
Oh, well,
but
see?
that's going to change.
It's really, really important. And most people never think that they would ever have to use it. But this is a great example how 911 failed. Not because they weren't waiting and happy to receive your phone call. They just could not get it.
Yeah.
This I thought was a really interesting slide from a publication in the East Coast. And they were talking about, here's the patient that you see on the left-hand side who's in a hospital. Paging systems aren't working. The electronic medical records aren't available. Medications are difficult to get because all of them are electronically controlled through the computerized medical record in most hospitals now. And even paging, like this woman needed respiratory therapy and they couldn't find a respiratory therapist because they couldn't page. So for people that were in hospitals, that work in hospitals, who are doing patient care, patients themselves, being in a healthcare system with no electronic anything is like the big systems that have had cyber attacks here in the US and other places in the world. It's very difficult. And hospitals are, I guess you could say, unfortunately getting better at what happens when they don't have everything they normally have. But it's still not a safe situation. And the example I can give you is I have several friends that are in the hospital administration business, and they were describing to me what it's like when all of a sudden you lose everything and you're going to paper. There are still things that need people, and you need to then immediately staff up. So, for example, in newborn nurseries, when babies are first born, they're very, very closely observed. And a lot of that's done electronically now. So you can have one nurse maybe spread over the course of looking at 3 or 4 babies. But all of a sudden, if you can't carefully monitor all of those systems, you now need to actually have a nurse per baby. And where do you get all of those nurses?
Mm-hmm.
If you have the lack of being able to get people in and out of your building, and they normally would be utilizing some computer system to badge in and out, and you can't do that, how do you then ensure that you have a secure space and at the same time have people be able to come in to go to work, or patients' families or things like that? That's a problem. So
Well,
all of a
that's the
sudden,
opposite is true there too. when some of those systems go down, all those doors some automatically unlock.
They'll open.
So you went from a secure location to now being anyone can walk
Insecure.
out.
Right. So you think about those things. I mean, and that's what I would really invite all of our colleagues that are listening to us is to really think about that. I always talk about to my clients when we do a cyber exercise, what do you do when you have nothing? This is a great example to peel that back. And we're going to talk more about that in a bit, but you raise a great issue. Security, either doors are going to lock or they're not, or they're going to lock, or they're going to stay open. Then what do you do? How do you ensure that people are coming into your space that are supposed to be there?
Hmm.
And that's a huge deal. And that's a huge deal.
Because even when it is secure, people, what do you call it? When they just follow somebody and they don't even bother.
Tailgating.
Tailgating, that's the word, yes.
Yep.
When, they may work there legitimately, but they don't bother tapping their badge because
Right.
the person before them works there and they've already tapped and the door's open.
Right. Right. That's a huge issue, of course. And I guess what I would say to you is this big fallout really highlights, I think, the brittleness of global technology infrastructure. The fact that a software update could melt down the universe because two large providers, CrowdStrike and Microsoft, literally are dominant in their industries. And when this occurred, it was catastrophic. I don't even know what other word to describe it as catastrophic. And this really is highlighted when you think that a single flawed piece of software, I've seen the code pages, it only had one line of code that was wrong, but you don't need every line to be wrong. You just need one. And so what that did is it caused countless damage to all of these companies, not for profits, hospitals, etc. And how can we tolerate that is what I want to sort of raise the question is how can we tolerate that, right? And that's where you look at things like DORA, which again is what did we say it was? I always forget. Digital
Operational
Resiliency Act.
Act, something like
And
that.
yes, and if people are not familiar with that, I encourage you to Google that. That's a EU ordinance that will come into effect. I believe it's the early part of 2025, and it's aimed at financial institutions. And they do have very specific requirements and very specific remedies for something like this. And, it makes me think like we need to think about this because if CrowdStrike can simply just go, wow, we're really sorry. Well, how can that be enough when you've disrupted all of these organizations in many places all over the world?
Well, really, then you're defining too that when is enough enough?
Right. And that you're not
If you
really
can impact the globe,
right?
and this many systems and companies, and it was multiple countries as well, then when is enough enough?
Right. Right. And I think this raises that question. And I hope that this really shines a light on this and that we get more clarity about that. And that frankly, I know they didn't do this on purpose, but it kind of doesn't matter. They disrupted the world. And there should be some accountability and there should be some damages that they're held responsible for.
Yeah.
And that's something I think is important. Now, the investors aren't happy with them. This was a screenshot from the New York Stock Exchange just a few moments before we started speaking. So just to give you a sense that on 7/18, this is the day of the attack, but this is in the morning, right? So the attack really, or not the attack, but the meltdown of the software update was on the 18th, but started late at night. So it closed on the 18th at $343 a share. And as of today at noon Pacific, it is down to 266. And I imagine that this could continue to slide. And I will be very curious as to what this means for the company in the long haul, because as we talked about earlier, I just can't imagine somebody's going to go like, oh, great. Yeah, CrowdStrike. I want, they had such a great reputation and they were so well known in the industry for being successful. I have to believe that this is going to have huge impact on them.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think I know it's one line of code, and I think they used the word one defect.
Yep.
That tells me from my project management days that maybe there's a problem in their quality control, QA, pre-implementation, whatever people want to call that phase,
Yep.
processes.
Right. I was thinking, is there sufficient testing?
Yeah.
Are we making sure that we have actually really tested it sufficiently and are comfortable about the ability to deploy it?
Yep.
Are people just too busy? Are they rushing too much? Are people just overwhelmed? I would love to know what the root cause is on the cause analysis of this as to why this was actually not caught.
Yeah.
And I
Or
think that's super important.
simple complacency. We've done this so many times,
Right.
so we haven't had an issue, and there won't be an issue this time either.
Mhm.
Well, it only takes one time, right?
It only takes one time, right? And again, I'm still amazed at how catastrophic the event was for one company to impact so many places globally. You couldn't do that on a cyber attack, I don't think. Right? It's just pretty mind-boggling. So then today, as of July 22nd, what's the status update? Well, it really depends on who you talk to and what their situation is. Many of my clients have been fully recovered after having people work 36 hours plus to resolve this problem. But there's a lot that are not recovered. And then as we spoke about earlier, there's the individuals that are stuck in airports and other industries it's going to take a while for the system to recover from that kind of immediate change and then services not being available for a period of time, flights, and therefore then to get people back rebooked, et cetera, is going to take a long time. So maybe by the end of the week, it'll be okay. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I did hear one report on a news channel. I don't know if it's true, but they said they'd have to take the fix to each workstation.
Oh my
So
God.
they couldn't push it out. I hope that's not the case. I hope that was just somebody reporting off the top of their head, so to speak, or coming up with something they had heard. But if that's true, my goodness, these people in airports are going to be around stuck for quite a while.
Right. Oh my gosh. That would be awful.
Yeah.
That would be awful. So that leads me to what I want to end up talking about for the end, which is, and this is really going to be a brainstorming between you and I believe, which is, what was in people's business continuity plans to respond to this kind of severe outage. Now, would this be a good place to take a break, or should we?
I was just going to say that. Let's take a break now so that we've got our last segment to just focus on this piece.
Sounds good to me.
We are talking today with Regina Phelps. We're talking about the recent CrowdStrike outage, and we will be right back. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.